Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus. I want to speak to the terrorists of the world. I have a message that I think you would identify with, and it's basically this. There are two types of terrorism. Terror, first of all, is fear. It's a war where conjuring up fear is the basic element of its defense or its offense. And terrorists operate in such a way that they hope they can forego a real war. Or sometimes that is the only tool that they have at their disposal. But what we want to focus on is the types of terrorism. There's a type of terrorism. You see, the whole thing about terrorism is about haves and have-nots. The whole thing about terrorism is about haves and have-nots. There are those who want it all. And they believe that they should have it all, that they deserve to have it all. And if an obstacle is in their way, they will do whatever is necessary to move it. And if it's a human obstacle, sometimes they will try to cause so much havoc within a community of individuals or people that would cause them to acquiesce and get out of the way. And there's another form of terrorism. There's terrorism where people have gotten out of the way so often until the pain from getting out of the way is so strong, until they find a urging, a unctioning on of rebellion against what they consider terrorism. And when they come back not with the elements of war or fighting that others might have, because usually the ones in power, the ones who cause terrorism to get more, usually got more. And so those who are coming back who've lost got less. And so they have to do whatever they can. But they only do these things because they are not aware of the true facts of life. At least there doesn't appear to be an understanding of the true facts of life in this regard. Now, what you see Republicans do and Democrats do, they do this because we as a people have been indoctrinated to do this. We don't understand that from the beginning of time, this was set up to divide us, to keep us divided, so that a power that is anti the power of peace, the power of prosperity, the power of joy can prevail. So what they do is create opposition. And when we see Republican presidents such as George Bush or Democratic presidents such as Barack Obama, we all got our times to complain, probably at the other guy. And what we have continuously is the kind of government, the kind of bureaucracy, the kind of failures that we've always seen. Why? Because we're divided. The truth is, if we ever want to see what we dream of, we're going to have to find some way to come together. There is an element out there whose purpose is to keep us divided, to allow goodness and joy to spread amongst those for whom is required to see success in this element of destruction. And when we have been destroyed by those who will do it to us, then that element of character will rise above, even in the midst of that. And that one will be called the Antichrist, only to rip off those that have served the Antichrist so well. And then the Antichrist will have it all. The only thing is that the Antichrist dies just like you and I. But the system doesn't. The dynasty doesn't. And see what I come to tell you today, the news that I come to tell you today, the great news is that we can come together. There are things that are coming amongst us like food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, and a job. Careers of our own choosing, that stuff that we like to do, that will compel us to get as much education as we possibly need, so that we will be better at whatever it is that we contribute to this walk of life. You see, those are the things that we all need. And so we do it. We already do it. We do it under a system that keeps some of us denied, that makes some of us live poor, and crime and violence that comes out of that. Well, see, we can eliminate all of that. We can just guarantee that to ourselves. All we have to do is change the system. You see, nobody owns anything. You know, you come into the world, you bring nothing, you leave, you take nothing. You know that the whole of existence is a power outside of your hand. And we have what we have, and we can use it as we choose. As we see Russia doing, as we see China doing, as we see North Korea, as we see all these other nations, they do what they want to do. We do what we have chosen to do, or what we have had imposed upon us, and it is not working. And ladies and gentlemen, it is up to us to change our way, to make this thing work by caring about one another, by having compassion for one another. I know this might sound a little sick, but it's real. It's the only way to peace. It's real. It's the only way to prosperity for all. It's real. It's the only way to joy in our lives. So I say to you, we're getting ready to have a presidential election coming up. We're going to be throwing mud, Republicans and Democrats, and you're going to be throwing at each other. You're going to be throwing at one or the other. Those of you in the church, you're going to be doing the same darn thing. And everybody loses. Everybody loses. Now, what should you do in the event that you do care, and that you begin to care, and you start standing up for one another? You start asking the question, how is it that we can all have peace? We can all be prosperous. Just today, the day is the 14th, I believe, maybe a little bit for, no, 14th, 15th, about the 18th. And they just had a little boy on the Today program. One of the Nixon daughters, one of the Bush daughters is a commentator on NBC. And so they had this little boy who was out trying to raise money to help the poor, because he says that they don't have this and that, they will be suffering in. And they want to use him to encourage others to go out and do likewise. It's amazing that they would exploit their youth like that. It's amazing to make you think that they have compassion for one another, when guys like me who say the kind of messages that I've shared with you, there is no way any of the stations have ever asked me. And I thought everybody wants peace all over the world. I thought everybody all over the world wanted to be able to live peaceful and be prosperous, have homes that they like to live in, equipped with the things that they would like to have it equipped with, who would like to be able to transport themselves any way they choose, to any place in the world that they choose, when they choose. And more than all of that, recognizing that they can only enjoy this because they contribute into the total package of all that exists under the power of man's hand. We do that for one another as an expression, as a recognition of a power that is above all of us. And that's the power of God Almighty. If you don't want to call him God, well, we just say the power that we can't see. Allow us to do what we can see. And we say thank you. Thank you. Now, I'm going to leave that. I want to say to you that this presidential election, you can act like a fool. You don't have to be a fool. You can be a fool, and you're going to be treated like a fool. Now, how do you not be a fool? You take control of your life. You take it back. And you respect others who have taken theirs back. And all of you take it back. And know that you got as much to contribute into this process as everybody else. And by contributing as much in it as everybody else, you're entitled to as much out of it as anybody else. And everybody knows that they only want as much as they can need. Otherwise, they got clutter and ghetto. So we don't want that. And here we have the makings of a new society. Simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. Simple as that. A little old country boy from the cotton fields of Mississippi. I have been blessed to know this vision that can bring peace and joy to the whole darn world. Whether you accept it or not, I still know the secret. And I want you to know it as well. Bye-bye.